I wrote a musical back in 2012 based on my life story, becoming more observant as a Jewish person and going on 100 match-made dates. And the second that I showed it to my director, I told her that I really wanted to make a movie out of it. And she said, well, what's stopping you? I said, well, I want to do the musical first and see what happens. And so from 2012 to 2014, we worked on 2 different versions of the show. I had 2 different directors, 2 different casts and crews, and it was pretty phenomenal how we were able to create this amazing musical. We also went on tour with it. And in 2014, I had the option of continuing the tour, funding it myself, or kind of taking a break. And I needed a break emotionally. It was a lot to share my story every night. I started writing the movie, and it took me about a year. I was taking a lot of screenwriting classes at the time and very confused and very frustrated. At the end of 2014, I had a movie, and I shared the script with a couple of my friends who are big producers and writers in Hollywood. And someone said, you know, you really should put a wedding scene in it. And I said, but what if she's not married yet, but she's still okay? And he gave me the advice that I had to. So instead of writing a wedding scene, I actually wrote a broken engagement scene. The day that I finished writing my scenes about the broken engagement, I went on JDate and I said hello to someone who wrote me. We wound up dating, and about a year later, I broke off an engagement. And it took about a year out of my writing process because, as you can imagine, it was a very emotional, difficult time. And I needed that time to understand what was happening in my life. And then I decided to move to New York and live bi-coastal. And a lot of wonderful things happened, but as you can imagine, when there's a move, there's definitely stuff that, you know, can come up that can stop you from your creative process. So I stopped then. And now that I've been bi-coastal for about a year, and since 2014, I've been talking about making this 10-page trailer / sizzle reel. And I finally was sick of having that debate with myself at 3 o'clock in the morning while I was going to the bathroom, brushing my teeth, talking to executives in writing meetings, and everybody would always say the same thing: why don't you just shoot 10 pages of it? And I always had a good excuse. So I prayed to the creator, whatever you want to call it, and I said, I need help. So we're going to make this day really fun, and I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of miracles. So I'm just going to ask people around me to help me film it. I'm going to set them up with my camera. I have a tripod, and I'm going to set the scene and direct it, and hope that whoever meets me at these different locations will actually help. And it was crazy because every single person I asked, the very first person I asked, I didn't wait, I didn't get nervous or hem and haw. I would just ask the very first person I saw that felt right in my gut. And each of those people turned out to be a miracle. So I'm going to take you through the stories because I think this is so worth sharing. The very first person that I met was this beautiful homeless man who probably is about 20 years old. He was walking with me for several blocks, telling me where the most authentic places to shoot were in the World Trade Center. He hangs out around there. He knows everything about it. And I said to him, you probably should be a tour guide. We were walking, and the woman who happened to be walking next to us, this beautiful woman, heard us talking, and she said, you know, I heard your excuses about why you can't work, and I can actually help you because I work for social services. So I tend to think that because I was living in a state of I'm going to make miracles happen today, and I asked for his help and then he helped me, it just kind of called in this beautiful miracle where he got hands-on advice for getting his ID and getting all of the benefits that are given to him through our taxes. So that was the first miracle. Miracle number 2. Second miracle was I walked into the World Trade Center area, and I was asking all around the people that worked there, can you show me to the places that are actually authentically from 2001? This beautiful woman who was standing in front of me, she opened the door for me and she turned around and said, did you get in okay? Like, I don't know what made her say that, but she was so friendly. And I said, yeah, I'm just curious. I noticed you have some flowers with you. It looks like you might be on your day off. She said, I am. I said, would you mind just taping a scene for me? And she just looked at me and said, I was meant to meet you today. She's like, I was just asking God, you know, what can I do of service today? And then you asked me.
I really don't have faith strong like how this wonderful person right here does. But for the past 3 days, especially this experience right now, things has been happening. Yesterday, a man, homeless man, has literally the top part of his shoes opening up when he's talking. And I brought him a pair of shoes from the park that I just found laying around. Somebody just left around and it was getting wet.
What made you bring them to him?
I don't know.
Did you know he
just-
needed shoes? You could just tell?
No, it was just inspirational of the fact that there's a good pair of shoes laying here.
So
I
you
know
picked
it'll-
them up and then you
Yeah.
saw a homeless person and you gave it to them?
Yeah, because it's like, there's a good pair
Did they
of shoes,
fit?
why not?
Don't tell me they fit.
I don't know. I really don't know.
And
but
the man
he was
said
happy
to
as
you
can be.
when you gave them to him, what
He
did you
said
say?
thank you. He's been praying all day for help. Help. That's all it takes is help.
And maybe it wasn't shoes he was praying for, but the fact that you gave them to him,
Fair.
you took the time.
And keep showing attention to somebody.
So you just started this out by saying, oh, I don't really have a lot of faith. But if you see something in someone else, you have it. So if you see that kind of faith in me, it's just because you have it. Like, look at, she's bringing
you know
flowers
what?
to her
Never
grandma.
Really,
She has no faith.
never really thought about that.
Of course, it's true.
You know, maybe I was thinking my faith was just a kind heart. So, we'll see.
You do have a kind heart. I'm so glad I met you. I thought, that is crazy. So she shot that scene, all the scenes that are around the World Trade Center that actually were still around from 2001. There's only a few of them, and we got them all. And I wound up offering her some help because she was involved in something that happens to be a court case in Florida, and my dad is an expert witness there, and in the same exact county where she's from. And hopefully we'll be able to help her with her court case. Miracle 3. I was walking outside of the building and I realized, oh, it would be cool to get this shot of the words World Trade Center and also me crossing the street. But how am I going to do that? Nobody here is dressed for 2001. I see this Israeli family because I hear them speaking Hebrew, and there's a mom and she's with 2 kids and a stroller and she's waiting for her family. And so I speak in my broken Hebrew and I'm like, Zakol Beseder, would it be okay if you just film me crossing the street? And she's like, yeah, what else do I have? Me would have been like, oh my gosh, like she's a mom and she's like with 2 kids. She's not gonna have time to do this, but it only takes like 60 seconds to cross the street. So she filmed me and it's a gorgeous shot. Look at this. And you can hear her speaking Hebrew on top of it. You can hear her saying like, what does she want? Okay, so now I'm at a Starbucks changing and there was no hook on the door, so I have to like put part of my stuff there, part of it on the toilet, and change out of this outfit so I can do my second shot because I'm going to UCB and reenacting UCB. I get to UCB, the area, and as I'm walking out of the subway, the very first person I see who's crossing the street with me is this beautiful woman who has like really cool hair. And I said, are you an artist? And she said, yeah. And I said, what do you do? And she said, oh, I'm an editor for television. I said, that's so funny because I actually need someone to help me shoot a scene. And she was like, of course I'll film with you. I don't have anything to do with this moment.
It's supposed to be.
She shot
Okay.
with my iPhone 10 the most beautiful scene. And everyone that walked by as we were shooting was in the kind of dress that could easily go for 2001, and none of them had their phones out. And she just said something so special. She's like, do it anyway. She's like, that's the coolest thing about being your own maker today is that you literally can make a movie in one day, like you're doing, Barb. And she's like, I said to her, thank you so much for helping me to believe in my dreams. And she said, I'm so glad that I said yes, and I'm so glad I helped you. I put out on Facebook that I needed assistance. I didn't even say what I needed. I just said, I need assistance with a shoot today. Does anybody have any time off? She said, you know, no one's around in my office at a particular time of day. And I said, great. And so we went to her office in the afternoon when everyone was gone. And there was this one little section that actually had nothing descriptive in it, that had an old computer that could have easily passed for early 2000s. And it was a quiet office, and I got to shoot my office scene. And then I said, would you mind following me to the Viacom building, because I used to audition for MTV shows, and she did. And I had to find something that would show that I was salivating over unkosher food. So I said, how about a hot dog stand? But how are we going to find a hot dog stand that actually looks like it was from, you know, before 2010? All of them have these new hydraulic light signs and things. And we found one. Okay, I'm in Bryant Park and I have to ask a stranger to do a date scene with me. Just be unreasonable, be unreasonable. I had to shoot some like really awkward dating scenes, and so we went to Bryant Park and I asked 3 different gentlemen if they would just be the guy in the scene that would be like this awkward date for me, because I went on 100 match-made dates. And all 3 of them said yes. And 2 of them in particular had these very distinctive looks that... So I picked up these 2 guys on the street today. Look how gorgeous they are. You just have to ask, and then people like that show up. Like the cutest guys in Bryant Park were like, yep, I'll work with you. They both happened to be former actors, so that was great. And we all made each other's day just by saying yes to each other. And we got the most beautiful scenes in Bryant Park. We wound up using this merry-go-round shot for a whole new section of dialogue that I wanted to use as the narrator. And again, every time we would take out the camera and start shooting, the people that walked by were in a certain kind of dress that could have passed for 2001. And again, no one had their phones out. We were scrambling to find Broadway shows that were around since 2001. We found 2, Phantom and Lion King, and so we shot in front of the Lion King. But it was just like one miracle after the next, and it happened so fast. I didn't want to shoot during Shabbat, and this was on a Friday. I actually put out on Facebook, is there any way that I could come and film your Shabbat table early, because in the summer people take in Shabbat early. The amazing Jessica Schechter Herring and her husband Aaron, so giving, so kind, so loving. They made my dreams come true because they invited me for Shabbat dinner, and I was sitting at the table and I thought, this is such a great scene. And I just asked them the next day, do you think I could come by and actually tape a fake Shabbat dinner scene there on Sunday night? And he said, we can't do Sunday, but we could do Monday night. So I hired a crew and got some equipment and we shot this Shabbat scene that I've been envisioning for 7 years in my mind. And we did it. And the people that I included for the shoot in terms of the DP and his assistant were so wonderful and brought in lighting, and we are doing Shabbos on a Monday night. All these amazing people. And I was just so floored. I mean, the way that we shot this whole thing, and it was on a shoestring budget. We could really use your help if you want to make this movie happen. If you like the trailer, it was made in 5 days. And I hope that it inspires you to pursue your own projects and be relentless and be unreasonable and ask people for help, because they really do come through. And I really believe in that phrase, that when you open your heart, the eye of a needle, and you just start to do the things that you want to do and walk in that direction, then the universe provides the rest for you. And it actually can work out. So there's my miracles. I hope that that inspires you. Things come together when you have vision, you have commitment to them, even if it takes 7 years, as it is 2019 right now. And they come together when you have belief. So I just want to say that to anyone who's saying, well, I wanted to do that, but it was 4 years ago. I wanted to do that, but that was 10 years ago or 20. It's never too late to do the thing that you really wanted to do. Let me be a stand for you, because I was that person making that excuse, and it gets old. And if you have that little whisper, like Steven Spielberg says over and over again, there's something to it.